using my parents' money to learn what they never got to learn. I've been thinking a lot lately about choices, about money, about the invisible weight of dreams. Not just mine, but the ones my parents carried for me. They gave me something they never had, the freedom to choose what to learn, and I chose differently. I didn't go to med school. I didn't study business like Dad hoped. Instead, I'm spending their money to learn about things like psychology, meditation, storytelling, and digital creativity. Things they never had time for. Things they never even knew they needed. Am I wasting what they worked so hard for? Or am I planting seeds for a life they never dared to imagine? My parents were not dreamers. They were doers. They came from poverty, from war, from a world where survival was the only dream allowed. Dad worked 3 jobs to get out of debt. Mom gave up her own college hopes when her father got sick. Their dreams were never about self-fulfillment. They were about security, stability, and sacrifice. So when they saved money for my education, it wasn't just cash. It was time, sweat, sleepless nights, quiet prayers, a lifetime of doing the hard things so their kid could do the beautiful things. And I know that. I hold that truth every time I open a book they've never read. They worked so I wouldn't have to worry, so I could have choices, and when the time came, I didn't choose what they expected. I didn't choose medicine. I didn't choose law or engineering. I chose to learn how to understand myself and others. I started studying psychology, not for a license, but for clarity. I learned about emotions, not to fix people, but to finally name what my parents never could. Words like anxiety, inner child, generational trauma. Words that were never spoken in my home. Then came meditation, not religion, not dogma. Just the stillness, a silence that taught me more than any textbook ever could. I explored storytelling, the art of making meaning. I took online courses in film, digital writing, and how to build a YouTube channel. It wasn't about fame. It was about voice. About learning to say what was never said at our dinner table. I spent their money not on certificates, but on courage. The courage to study things that didn't promise a salary, but offered something far more valuable: understanding, expression, healing. But choosing differently comes with a cost, not just money, but something deeper, the weight of being misunderstood. It started with silence. Then the questions came. Is this really a career? What will you do with all this psychology and meditation stuff? Why don't you just study something practical? The people I love looked at me, not with anger, but with confusion, like I was holding something fragile they didn't know how to touch. I could see it in my dad's eyes when I told him I didn't want a real job. I could feel it in the long pause before Mom asked, "So, when will you be done?" They didn't say it, but I knew they wondered. Was this worth it? Was I worth it? Doubt doesn't always shout. Sometimes it sits across from you at dinner, quietly. Sometimes it's in the way they smile too quickly, like trying to believe for your sake. Sometimes it's your own voice, late at night, whispering. Maybe they're right. But deep down, something held me. A quiet knowing. I wasn't wasting this sacrifice. I was transforming it. In the silence of doubt, I asked myself, if not for money, not for titles, not for approval, then who am I really learning for? At first, I thought I was learning for me. To feel free, to be whole, to become someone I could respect. But over time, I realized I was also learning for them. For my father, who never learned how to talk about fear. So he carried it alone, in silence. For my mother, who buried her dreams under duty, and forgot how to speak her own name with joy. For the generations before me, who had no choice but survival. I was learning the words they were never taught. I was healing the wounds they never had time to name. Every book I read about emotions, every hour I spent meditating, every story I shared with the world was a quiet offering, a way of saying, I see you, I honor you, I go farther because of you. I told myself I was learning for them, for the ones who came before me. But still, a question stayed with me every step of the way. Was it worth it? Was it worth the confusion I caused my parents? The awkward conversations at family gatherings? The moments when they had to lie for me? Oh, she's still figuring things out. He's trying something new. Was it worth the years without a stable income? When I saw friends buying cars, building houses, while I built ideas no one could see? Was it worth the loneliness? The nights when I questioned if I had ruined everything by choosing a path with no map? The truth is, sometimes I didn't know. There were days when I wished I had just studied something safe, days when I envied those who didn't feel this burning need to understand life or heal invisible wounds. But then there were moments, small, quiet moments, when someone said, "Your story helped me," or when I heard myself laugh, not out of escape, but out of clarity. In those moments, I knew. Maybe it wasn't about being worth it in a logical sense. Maybe it was about being real, and real things take time. Yes, there were moments of clarity, but most days, I still walked alone. And that was the hardest part. No one really understood what I was doing. My parents didn't understand why I wanted to study things they never even heard of, why I cared so deeply about ideas instead of income, why I chose silence over noise, solitude over crowds. My friends didn't understand why I disappeared sometimes, why I stopped chasing the same dreams they chased, promotions, status, security. Even I didn't understand fully. I just knew something inside was pulling me forward, like a compass that didn't point north, but pointed inward. There were days I said too much, and days I said nothing, because I knew they wouldn't get it. So I smiled. I nodded. I changed the subject. But at night, I still wrote. I still read. I still listened to that tiny voice inside that whispered, "Keep going. Don't give up. This is real." I kept walking, even when no one understood. And slowly, something changed. One day, I looked in the mirror and saw a version of myself that felt right, not perfect, not finished, but honest. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I wasn't chasing someone else's dream. I was living in alignment with what mattered to me. I started waking up with peace. Not excitement, not fear, just a quiet knowing. This is me. Knowing myself didn't mean the world suddenly understood me. But that was okay now. I realized this journey wasn't meant for applause. It wasn't for approval. It was for understanding, for healing, for becoming. The sacrifices, the silence, the confusion, they all made sense when I looked back with love, not regret. Because I wasn't wasting my parents' money. I was using their gift to find something they never had the chance to. In the end, it wasn't about being understood by the world. It was about understanding what truly mattered and honoring it. So this is my quiet thank you to the version of me who kept walking when no one clapped, to the parents who gave what they could even when they didn't understand, to the silence that taught me more than words ever could. I learned things no one in my family had the chance to, not because I was better, but because they sacrificed, so I could go a little further. I carry their strength. I carry their dreams that never made it past survival, and I turn them into something whole. If you're on this kind of path, unsure, unseen, uncertain, just know, you're not lost. You're just the first in your family to walk this road, and that's incredibly brave. Thank you for listening. May you walk your path with courage, even when no one understands. Because sometimes the most meaningful journeys begin in silence.